Good morning and welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. Today, Mrs. Busby, we will just work with personalities and perspectives. The political season is, I wish it were all the way over. We have a lot of hot air to go between now and November, and we'll put up with it one way or the other, candidates being what they are.
Somebody at the polls yesterday said...
Did I call on you?
Oh. I just wish I hadn't had stupid tattooed on my forehead. It's just done me no good. Anyway, somebody said they had brought their mother to vote. They said, now, Mom, don't you want to come and vote? And she said, if it'll stop the commercials, I'll vote.
Well, there's a lady with the practical viewpoint. Well, we always, gentlemen, I think you both remember that we always try to start Viewpoint with a kudo or two, maybe 3 or 4. But I think it'd be appropriate this morning to just simply kudos to all the folks like the Judy K. Busbys who get out of bed at the crack of dark on voting day and show up at the polls to assist people to vote. So
and
to you and all
house.
your comrades, both genders, or maybe the third gender, who knows. In any event, we appreciate the fact that you do crack and you get it. What time do you report?
Well, I tell you what, I intended to report at 5, but I got there at 5:30 because I got up to my refrigerator having piddled all over my kitchen.
And I thought it was her dogs.
I don't know what happened. So I kind of was waiting for a while before I left.
I noted that. Anyway, what time did you, now you poll workers and all of you who show up, what time did you get done yesterday evening?
We got home about 8:15.
That's remarkable because in the old days before computers took over and all that, it was much later for these poll watchers. But thank you very much, all of you out there. Let's just get right down to serious business this morning. We have 2 gentlemen who've been kind enough to step in at the last minute and step out of the batter's circle and step up to the plate. We appreciate that very much, gentlemen. So introduce our kind guests this morning with you.
Well, yeah, they're
right
dignitaries.
Yeah, do it right.
by your new house there.
Yes.
I would like to say that we're going to talk about Christian homes, but in just a half a second, we're going to tell you that we're not going to talk about Christian homes by name. We have with us Jeff Hills, and he's the Vice President of Development, and we have Terry Davis, the Director of Major and Planned Gifts. We thank you ever so for joining us, and now I think our listeners are going to be very interested in the fact that I'm once again wrong, because it's not Christian homes anymore. Let's tell me and Bill and the other 2 people that are listening why it's not Christian homes anymore. Jeff?
Well, let us give you a little history, and we'll work up to that.
Good deal.
But Christian homes, Christian Horizons now, as you said, has just a great history, and we just love telling that story.
Rightfully so.
And exactly. And Bill probably remembers some of this history when we first got started. But it was back in 1962 when a couple gentlemen got together to start kicking this idea around for the need to have a Christian nursing home in Lincoln. And they decided to take their discussion a little bit further, and they invited some more men. So in 1962, there was 9 visionary men from around the area that came together, and the neat thing was they had $10.66.
Lots of money.
Lots of money.
You've got to have a budget, don't you?
In their treasure, and they decided to take a leap of faith, and we're going to open this up. And so in 1962, they purchased land, and they started making plans to build the Christian Horizons first nursing home, which is the Christian Village, or when it opened in 1965, it was called the Christian Nursing Home. And so that was 1965.
We used those terms very, universally then in those times.
Yes. Right. Exactly. Yeah. There was a lot of names for nursing homes back in the day that have changed over the years. And
well, I think that kind of dovetails with the changing of the concept don't you think?
Exactly. And the reason being is we are no longer just a nursing home.
Right.
Long-term healthcare services do so much more than just provide nursing care. And for our organization, let me just tell you some of the things that we provide, and you'll understand why we changed our name to try to get a better idea or grasp everything that we do. So we have skilled nursing, which would be your nursing home. We have assisted living. So those individuals are not quite ready for the nursing home, but they need just help with their daily activities. On the other side, we also have supported living. And supported living is income-based. And so it's a state-run program, very much like assisted living, except it's for people that are Medicare or cannot afford assisted living. And then we move from there, and you might have noticed at the Christian Village, we've added on a new wing, and we've added that on to several of our communities, and those are called Grace Point Rehab to Home.
Which, by the way, they're very lovely. They're very nice.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
But that's just, our goal there is someone's had an operation or a fall, and we need to get them back on their feet and get them back home where they want to be as quickly as possible.
And you have the rehab facilities there for them then, too?
We do.
They sure do.
Wow.
Yes.
And I can remember in the relatively short time that I've been with Christian Homes, back in 2001 is when I joined, and now Christian Horizons. Many people thought you're headed to the nursing home, and that's where you're going to live the rest of your life. And today, so many people come in and then go back home. And Dorothy said it best in The Old Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home. And so folks get to go back home and after rehab or whatever it may be, a short stay. So it's really been a blessing. Grace Point continues to just do very, very well.
But Christian Horizons is not only located here in Lincoln, Illinois.
No.
It's got a pretty broad footprint.
Yes.
And I'd like to discuss that, some of the facilities that we have around in the near, and then we've got some that are really quite a bit further away.
Yeah, that was the neat thing about our history is that once other communities, and we, our start got from churches coming along and supporting us. So some of the other churches in other communities in Illinois and outside of Illinois saw what we did here in Lincoln, and they said, we want a Christian nursing home in our community. And so from 1968, we started to expand to where we are now. We have 13 communities. We're in 4 states. We have 8 communities in Illinois. We have 3 in Indiana, 1 in Iowa, and 1 in Missouri. And
that's pretty remarkable to realize.
Yes, it is.
Over 3,000 residents we're providing services for.
And some folks will know Lewis Memorial Christian Village in Springfield. That's one of our great communities as well. If you go up towards Washington, Illinois, we have Washington Christian Village. And, so it's a family. It really is a great
you go
family.
to Decatur, then down to southern Illinois.
Yes, Fairhavens.
That's
is in Decatur, and then out in Forsyth we have Hickory Point Christian Village. So
your job, Mr. Davis, is pretty doggone important because without funds, we can't operate this rather huge conglomerate that we have here. So you really have you're kind of the point guy. And he might if you see him on Kresge's corner, he asks for $10. Don't be offended. That's his job.
We have just been immensely blessed over the years with many folks who have considered this just a ministry, an extension of the ministry of the church, and it really is. And so many people come alongside to help us to provide for our residents things that the extras, you might say. And so we have been blessed over the years to have folks come alongside of us and help us with buildings and help us with pieces of equipment that we might need. And so, yes, to sit in the living room with some of the folks that I get to visit with, Jeff gets to visit with, it's just a blessing for us because they have such a love. And even from the very early days of the ministry, the folks who the nine gentlemen that Jeff was just mentioning, they really had a heart to bring good care to Lincoln.
And it's kind of the old expression about planting your crops. You got to plant for them to blossom. I suspect, without knowing it all, but the ministry of what was known as Lincoln Christian College, before that Lincoln Bible Institute, wherein students would go out into the country churches, little churches here and there, and perform services, and that engenders a lot of knowledge and acceptance of what Jesus Christ is trying to do for us, and has done for us. But you have a particular mission, and thereby you've influenced a lot of people who would never know about, who perhaps opened up their checkbooks in appreciation for what the school has done for them.
Yeah, we like that partnership that we have with Lincoln Christian University. Matter of fact, a lot of our leaders that have served at the Christian home, the Christian Village, have graduated from Lincoln Christian University.
Sure. Well, they get introduced to the concept, and I'm sure they all have grandmas that they've loved and cared for all these years, and now they're seeing it really play out.
Right.
One thing that you mentioned that I thought was especially interesting was that you reached to a population that needed you extra much, and that is the Medicaid population, because not everybody has an exorbitant amount of money. And they don't. And I think that to have taken that into consideration to help those people, I commend you.
Yeah. Our mission actually directs us to care for those people. We have a great mission statement. We exist to honor God, but we do that by providing a continuum of care and services primarily to older adults. But that's to any older adult. It doesn't matter their situation. With our across the board with Christian Horizons, with all of our communities, we are over 50% of Medicaid residents in our skilled nursing facility. Yes.
Wow.
The great thing is we've been able to, like last year alone, we gave over $8 million of benevolent care out. And
I commend you over and over again. Well, can you, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can you give us some?
She will do that to you every time.
That's why one of the voters yesterday said, I recognize your voice. I listen to you.
Yes.
And I love Bill.
Don't we all?
Your voter was a warped voter.
It's a good thing I'm hard-hearted, boy.
No, we blew your question.
Yeah. Well, I have to start over on that part. Can you give us an idea of how many you served when the 9 fellows got together and started this whole operation, as opposed to how many in the world do you serve now?
We started out with a 48-bed nursing community here in Lincoln. So when you think about 48 beds compared to what we serve now, and so well over 2,500 residents that we serve now.
Isn't that something?
So just a tremendous growth, and we attribute all of that to God's blessing. There's no way to look at that and not realize that God had His hand in this ministry. And so many people would see the initial beginnings of Christian Horizons, Christian Homes then, and they would say, "We want that in our community." So it was
somewhat analogous is the growth of what was known as Lincoln Bible Institute. And I think of the vision there and the very, very humble beginnings of that one to what we have now.
Right.
And as Jeff Hills and I talked about yesterday, he was nice enough, by the way, to make a corporate visit, and I appreciated that very much.
It's nice that somebody's nice to you, Bill.
There's that to be said. But we talked about and how that growth started. And the economic factor that Lincoln Christian University now is, as is Lincoln College,
Right.
huge economic impact in our community, just huge. And so we're appreciative. Now, one of the things that we wanted to cover, and we kind of stepped over it a little bit, the corporate name change from
Yes.
to Christian Horizons. Why that name change, and what does that encompass, sir?
Yeah, again, it was actually, long-term care, health care has changed so rapidly over the years that we felt it was necessary to kind of rebrand. And this was a good opportunity as a corporate office to do that. Now, our campuses, our communities, they all kept the same name. So the name for the Christian Village stayed the Christian Village, and it went on down through with all of our communities. But as the corporate name, we wanted to take this opportunity to rebrand so that we could start marketing that we do so much more than just nursing home care. And that's what I was talking about earlier. A couple things I didn't mention was that we have, beyond the nursing home and assisted living and Grace Point Rehab, we've started a home care organization called CareLink. And that's
Care who?
CareLink.
Link.
And our office there is based out of Springfield, but we service the Lincoln area and the whole surrounding area. But we actually will come into a person's home and help them stay home. So we'll come in and we'll provide them help them cook, help them with their cleaning their house, going on errands. But a lot of people want to stay home as long as they can, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So we come
obviously.
alongside them and we help them do that. So we started that because the need was there. We also started Safe Haven Hospice. And,
Oh, yes.
And I know you folks had about a
Yes.
year or so ago.
Yes,
you had
we've had
Ernie Hardy and some
A
of the
couple
folks
times
come
we've
in and
had
talk.
folks
Yes,
from Safe Haven
exactly.
up here to talk about that,
exactly.
which is a very important ministry.
Beautiful
It is.
service.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh my gosh.
really.
I can remember back when my grandparents would go one after another to the Sunset Home in Kenyon, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then comparing that to when my own parents had to go and comparing it to now.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just absolutely phenomenal. The Sunset Home, bless their hearts, it was just warehousing, really.
Right.
It's just a miracle that there were enough foresighted people to start something that really means a lot to families.
Right.
So the name change came with a new pathway, with additional services. It was time to change the corporate name and then start marketing everything that we do. So it was a great opportunity for us to do that.
We attend a couple of conventions a year promoting our ministry, and we get together with a lot of other missions. And sometimes we would have folks who would come up to us and say, "What kind of homes do you build?" And they thought maybe we were a
General
construction. Yes,
contractor.
exactly. So we were hoping that this name would help clarify that we do a lot of different things, but kind of be an umbrella to cover many other functions that we have.
Well, one of the things that you did here in Lincoln, the Christian Village that we're in, we started with the Congregate, where my mother resided for a long time.
Yes.
And then, first thing you know, we had these very nice duplex apartments on that campus. And I speak from experience now, since I'm a new resident there.
Right, and we're happy to have you.
And they, well, I haven't paid the rent yet.
There
No,
is that.
seriously, I'm in, every day that I'm there, I get more impressed, and they're just lovely facilities, and it's a great way to downsize for old people like us. And some of these days, we might decide that we are old. And in the meantime, this is a great spot to be, and that's an ancillary product of the Christian Horizons.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's and as I alluded to a while ago, being a good corporate person, we had a visit yesterday from one of the corporate people, Mr. Hills, and Gene and I appreciated that. Representative from the campus, just checking on us and make sure things are okay.
Good.
It's a good move, and it's really, I'm delighted. I'm their best spokesman now.
All right.
Well, we like to stand behind our mission. We want our residents to know that you're not just a resident. You're family now. We care. We want to get to know you. We want to make sure things are going well for you, if there's any way that we can help. And so we make those visits.
Well, that's great. And speaking of caring, we have sponsors that we care for a whole lot here because they make this whole thing possible. Go right ahead, Mr. Ash. Oh, yes. Good morning. Welcome back to Viewpoint. I understand we have a caller while we were paying obeisance to our sponsors. Go right ahead, caller.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Peggy Bateman.
Can't hear it, Jim. Yes, great. Go right ahead, please, caller.
Okay, this is Peggy Bateman, City Clerk of Lincoln.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Hi.
Mrs. Bateman.
I am just calling in to let it be known that the City of Lincoln is having a public hearing Monday, March 26th at the Lincoln College at the Johnson Center at 6 p.m. This is for all the public to come and listen to the proposal or presentation from Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley regarding the sewer upgrades. This is going to put out there to them of the rate changes that is going to be put into place due to the EPA mandated sewer upgrade, and I just wanted to get the information out there for them to make sure they show up. Crawford Murphy Tilley will explain everything more detailed and to them, and if they have any questions, that'd be the time to ask the questions. And it's open to the public, 6 p.m. Monday, March 26th at the Lincoln College Johnson Center.
Thank you, Mrs. Bateman. By the way, we're going to charge you for that commercial. We're talking about Christian homes today. Since we slipped off topic, we're going to have to send you a bill. That's all right,
fine.
Peggy. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that a lot. Everybody else does. Okay, repeat that date.
Monday, March 26th, which is next Monday, at the Lincoln College at the Johnson Center at 6 p.m. Open to the public for all everyone that's on city sewer, that's commercial and residential. I hope to see a lot of people there.
Thank you very much. That'll be another $5. Thank you, Paige. Appreciate that a lot. Okay. Now, there's a community service for you. And we will... You know, there's so many questions that go on in our city government, and a lot of people sit back and carp and complain.
Yeah.
Here's your chance if they want to know about an issue. Take advantage of that and show up. Peggy, by the way, is doing a great job for us. She's one of our good public servants that does a great job. Now, with respect to, I just lost my notes somewhere.
I see.
Would you?
I can do that.
That's why we have you in the studio, to help old people like me and get
I thought
around.
it was just for serving coffee. Gee, I've
All
been
right.
elevated.
Multifaceted.
Let us, this would really come under your domain, Terry. How supporters can help carry out the ministry of Christian Horizons. We're talking about, it takes a ton.
It does.
A ton of money.
You're right.
And you can't, unless you'll go visit people, and by the way, that's not a bad thing to do. I still make it a point to go see some people in nursing homes here. And, I use that common denominator term, nursing homes. That's what we've always done.
Sure.
They're just nice facilities, and God forbid we have to go there ourselves, but we don't know what is ordained for us. So,
Exactly. It's one of the things that you were just saying about visiting folks. We have so many volunteers who come into our community week after week who do a variety of things. And we're so thankful to have Ryan Edgecombe, who is our chaplain at the Christian Village in particular, who manages these volunteers who come in on a daily basis. And in all of our communities, we are just overwhelmed by the generosity of the church and the volunteers, and they do things like birthday parties for our residents.
Oh, that's nice.
And so they come in and read and they come in and pour ice water. And there's
Something simple like that.
something simple like
Very
that.
basic.
You know, Jesus said, even a cup of cold water given in my name. And so these folks come in and they just make a tremendous difference in the lives of our residents. They look forward to seeing them coming each and every time that they're able to come
I met a
and share.
volunteer there once, Terry, that I didn't like a bit. Really offended me.
Who?
I had moved my mother from the village, and I moved my mother from the congregate to the nursing home proper. And she had a lot of things. Like older people, we require too many things. And anyway, I was tired, and I went out and said to my son, I'm going to sit down here and rest a minute. And I went outside her room and sat down in a wheelchair. Good old volunteer from somewhere came along and says, "You better come along and go to breakfast, Sonny. You're going to miss breakfast." I jumped out of the wheelchair. And I said, "My God, son, do I look that bad?" So that I decided I didn't like that volunteer. I went in and told Tim Serby, who was then administrator.
Yes, right.
And in the next day's mail, I got an application for admission.
That's Tim for you. That's Tim for you.
Oh, heck.
Yeah.
So
the volunteer program is just essential to help us carry out our mission.
Oh my!
Terry mentioned the Christian Village, but when we expand that out to all the rest of our communities, over 2,500 volunteers. Last year alone, they gave over 58,000 hours. So, you know, you calculate that out, even with 2 minimum wage, and we're talking about some real dollars here, that what they bring.
Exactly.
I worked for the hospital's Department of Volunteer and Special Services for 17 years. So I met an awful lot of volunteers, and I loved them, every single one of them, because mean-spirited, selfish people never volunteer. Right. So all you've got are the cream of the crop. Lovely, beautiful, smiley, helpful, caring people. Right. And God love every one of them.
Right. Bill, that's what you and I were talking about yesterday when we were defining the word generosity. You remember that conversation? And many people think that generosity just has something to do with dollars. And it doesn't. It has exactly what you're talking about, Judy. It has to talking about giving of yourself to someone else and coming alongside them and helping them. And that's what we try to do in our organization, is just promote that whole culture of generosity, whether it's a dollar or whether it's a kind hand to help someone.
That's right.
Yeah.
The least common denominator is a kind hand, you know. Make somebody feel a little bit better, if only for a few minutes.
Exactly.
648-5510. Our guest this morning, Terry Davis and Mr. Jeff Hills, representing Christian Horizons, which we know here in Lincoln, Logan County is Christian Village. Right. But it's much bigger than that, making a much bigger footprint and a huge impact on thousands of families. Yes. The old days, you know, you have to stop and think, well, of course, we're all living longer now, as I well know. The folks didn't live that long, but we had people got sick back in the 1930s, and what happened to them? You stop and think about that. Exactly. Many of them just had to stay at home and languor in bed with little or no attention.
Right.
Exactly.
And we just come quantum leaps in taking care of our age now. Right. And moreover now, this business of Alzheimer's, dementia, it's such a serious problem. And here we are at Christian Horizons helping families answer that need for those folks who are in that category.
Right.
And that's a whole other ballgame.
Yes.
We're very just very blessed to have the memory care unit there, named after George Garr, who was just an outstanding president for many, many years, and was there when the growth really took place. And George was just, I tell you, he would not stop until he could just visit almost every community that called on him to think about bringing in. Couldn't always bring a new community to that area, but he would do his best. If there were folk there who were willing and wanted to work hard to bring about a new community, George would stand right beside them and work to try and do that. And that's how most of the community started, was through the hard work of a lot of folks. And if George were here today, he certainly wouldn't want to take credit for it. But he was very
I
instrumental in
remember
the early days.
we had a facility up in Flanagan.
Yes.
Still had that facility.
Beulah
up there.
Land. We
Yeah.
did sell that facility a few years back, and but it was a fantastic community. I still visit folks who volunteered there and still want to be a part of our ministry, and they do that in different ways now. But very thankful for that community. Yeah.
That's the impact that this type of service has on communities throughout.
Yes.
And as I say, unless you put your moccasins on and walk that field, you just really don't know until you have it in your own family.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, I noticed that old people like me will still call it Burma, but in Myanmar, you have Christian Horizons. That's a long swim.
That's clear around the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's out of town.
Yeah. Tell us about this program, meeting the needs of widows.
Yeah, we actually
interesting.
partnered with a mission in Myanmar, and like you say, most people don't know where Myanmar is, but when you mention Burma, they say, oh yeah, the king and I. That was Burma.
Yeah.
Now, when that took place, that was one of the richest countries in the world. Now
Think
it's
of
this. It is one. I think it's the second poorest country in the world now.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, and it's just
It's real
because
sad.
the government has, the way it has operated over the years. But anyway, we have a mission over there that we partnered with last year, and they have a real need. They had several widows that were in their mission. They had no one to care for them, and because it's such a poor country, they had no place to live. They had a difficult time finding food, and health care was out of the question. And so we came alongside them and said, we want to partner with you. So we actually built a 7-bedroom home. It's the first one. Hopefully it's the first one of many. Christian Horizons is not getting any income out of this. We're just doing it as an outreach of what we already do, and it fits our mission perfectly. But we built a 7-bedroom home to house 6 widows. Now what's interesting is it's open now, but because of their culture over there, those 6 widows didn't want to sleep in their bedroom by themselves. They want to be together, so they would bring their mats out at night and sleep in the common area together.
Is that right?
How interesting.
Well, they said we can put more in there now. Well, now we have 11 widows there that we're serving, and so the house is built. We raised money for monthly support. It's $1,000 a month to take care of all those widows. It's all it is, and we have about $800 a month raised, but we're still working towards that. But it's just a great ministry.
Interesting ministry, yeah.
And it was just a little over $30,000 to build the home. Which,
Over there.
Over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
And you
over
know,
here.
trying to build you couldn't build a decent home here for $30,000 just
I don't
for a
think so.
single family.
Yeah.
So-
Maybe a big garage.
Yes, exactly. So.
But that shows you the heart of who
Yeah.
we are, I think.
Oh, but that is a beautiful story.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think we can identify in any way, shape, or form what kinds of problems
Yeah.
people like that must have.
Exactly.
And to reach out to that community is, and for nothing in return.
Right.
See,
It's-
that's a
and
real mission.
Some of them had never slept inside at night. They'd always slept outside or under a lean-to or something like that, never in an enclosed building. So,
Gosh.
we can't begin to have no cognizance whatsoever of anybody else's lifestyle. We're so self-sufficient and go a bit smug about it in many cases, that we take for granted those things which are so vital to somebody else in another land.
Right.
The supporters that you mentioned, and without them, it'd be pretty hard to function. Well, we have to have the money to start with, and that's Terry's job. But the
lot of folks.
the supporters, the volunteers, without them, it'd be very difficult to function. In
We couldn't do
what
all
I
the
call a
extras.
nursing. I
Yes.
use that the generic word nursing home,
Sure,
because that's what
sure.
we've all done.
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
So you have to have those, and they're present in every community where you have a
Right.
facility.
Right.
And we have folks who support us on a monthly basis financially, folks who answer our appeal letters that we send out, and we send those out at different times of the year, so we've been really blessed by that. Folks who will remember us in their estate plan. That's been a tremendous blessing for us. So many different ways that folks can help us, and any way they choose is a great blessing for us. And
in addition to Burma, are you in other countries?
No, this is our first adventure across.
Your maiden voyage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first of many, maybe.
Hopefully so.
Well, Terry, I wish you luck going over there and raising money.
Well, yeah, really.
I'm looking forward to going one day. I'm not sure that it'll be for raising funds, but I look forward to going over and visiting and sharing. There's a great ministry that is a part of that area there that was really a gentleman who came to Lincoln Christian University and studied, Palau. And I can't pronounce his full name, but we always called him Palau. And he had such a heart for the people, teaching them how to grow their own food, opened a school for children, and now this is a part of that ministry as well. And we were able to help them do that, and so just a tremendous blessing for us.
You know, I bet I'm not alone in that you're shaming me, because I have 3 kids. They all went to school. They all had 3 squares a day. They all had decent clothes. And I just assumed that was how it was.
Yes, exactly.
And it's absolutely not, and shame on me.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us, growing up in this wonderful, magnificent country, we have been blessed with so much, and we take it for granted. Yeah.
Well, we're not unusual. That's just the way it is.
No, exactly. Right.
It's just like we just mentioned the election, and they think today that a 20% turnout, or 22 or 28 or whatever, but it's never 30, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Here we are with the greatest system in the world, and if people have an opportunity to express themselves at the ballot box, and most of them are doggone busy or careless. They can't even think to exercise the one right that we have, where we have a voice.
Right.
And that's another
And look what
soapbox
happened
I
to
have.
Burma.
Yes.
They started as number
Good
1
example.
and second to the bottom.
Right.
You know, if we continue to sit around and suck our thumb, that can happen, obviously, because it has.
Exactly.
Oofta.
Yeah.
Well, I want to just directly mention another offshoot of the Christian Horizons, and that has a direct impact on Gene and Bill. Your duplex apartments.
Yes.
I know we've been talking about the Christian Horizon and its greater scope, but more directly, that's a very neat facility for us. As I speak with experience, because I just moved in, and I'm not even in there 2 months, and I love it. Talk about your duplex apartments and how folks find a way to finish their days there, so to speak.
Sure.
That's what I think will happen.
I know you folks have had the wonderful Judy King in here many times, and Julie is one of those special people that we're so thankful for, that she's a part of our ministry, and she is so good at making folks feel comfortable as they transition out of their home into a garden home. But like you were saying, the garden homes are very lovely. Many folks say, we got to downsize, but when they come in and visit, they find out that they can keep a lot of their stuff because there's quite a bit of space there. So very thankful for that. And one of the things Jeff mentioned earlier was the continuum of care. And many folks like coming to a place like the Christian Village because they can start out living totally independent, able to take care of all of their needs. And if the need progresses that they should need more help, they don't have to leave the campus. They can just transition into other areas of the campus.
Or some of them can stay, depending upon their need, can stay right there in their own apartments and get the care from the Christian home.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We're going to have to start using that term more.
We know we struggle with that too.
Yeah.
We call them both names.
Yeah.
I'm up speaking many times, and Christian Homes comes out. It just
50 years of
does.
being Christian Homes is hard to break the habit.
Old habits are hard to break, aren't they?
It's just hard. Those initial gentlemen who got together and decided we're going to do this, they sure didn't look down the road and see what the impact on society is. They couldn't begin to imagine.
Right. Well, several of them, I have heard them say, they didn't envision that it would ever be anything like it is today. So
I'd like to add just a little bit about Bill's talking about living out there. I call them the double bungalows because that's what we called them in Minneapolis, was a double bungalow.
Well, Norwegians do it differently.
Yeah, you know how they are. Anyway, you're not alone, as it were, because there's the nice man you can call and say, I've got a problem here, my refrigerator is leaked all over the floor, and he comes and fixes it. So you know that somebody's going to be there to help you with something that none of us in this room would know what to do with.
Yeah, it's very nice because you can live completely independent, but you don't have to worry about any maintenance. You don't have to worry about your yard. You don't have to worry about your repairs.
Snow removal.
It's all taken care of for you.
Ice, which can be a big problem.
Exactly.
I always changed the light bulbs in my house. Gene did everything else. But we have that done for us
She's
now.
pretty good.
Yeah,
she's pretty
exactly
good.
right. But the impact on that in any given community, particularly in this, I call this a small community.
Right.
And
Sure.
it is geographically and every other way.
Right.
It's nice to have that facility out there. And there's a waiting list for people
There's a waiting list.
like to be in what I call the duplexes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, think about this, Bill. You've grown up in this community your entire life. And now when you have a need where you're wanting to move into something like this, you don't have to leave the community because of what we're able to provide. But if that was not there and you still needed that service, you'd have to leave the community, which you grew up in, which you have all your friends here and all your relationships.
And that has an adjustment socially for individuals, certain individuals. I think I could probably get along even in Burtonview, but those are my roots. I don't speak disparagingly of Burtonview.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to make that clear.
Sure.
So I want to drive by there one day. But seriously, if you have to be physically moved from the place that you've known all your life
Right.
into another facility, it's
a hard adjustment.
There is a transition.
Not only for the individual, but for the families as well.
Yes.
Definitely.
Maybe more so for them.
Definitely.
Well, I don't know. I think it's important for the individual because it's easy to stop by and call on Jean after church last Sunday.
Yes.
Where if Jean were in pretend northern Normal
Or Beeson.
you wouldn't be able
Exactly.
to just drop in and say hi so that the person who lives there knows that they're remembered and cared about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's of prime importance.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we didn't get the other listener to call in, unfortunately. And we thought we should because Christian Horizons, Christian Village, Christian Homes, there's such an impact not only here in Lincoln, County, but throughout many, many communities. So we appreciate the fact that Jeff Hills and Terry Davis would come with us and spend some time with us today, trying to blow a little smoke for what's going on out there on the end of 7th Street.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
We always try to come up with a quote that's somewhat analogous to the subject matter of the day, and I found a very basic one. Just got a profound. If you just think about this just a minute. Caregiving will never be one size fits all.
Exactly.
It's very good.
I thought that was so. Out of all the many
says it.
quotes I found, I picked that one.
It says it all.
Thank you, Terry and Jeff, very much.
Thank you for the
Thank you,
opportunity.
sir.